Okay, welcome back. Now we know what the assumptions are. We will try to get the basic understanding of how to log into a database on the Unix machine. So those are the things that we would like to go through first before we jump into PL/SQL programming. So we're gonna learn certain basic things, how to find which database is running on the server. That is something that we're gonna look into, and then we will see how to log into that database. So these are the things. So now here on the right hand side, I'm going to show you certain basic Unix commands. I'm gonna type certain commands. Uname is a command which is going to show me that I'm running these things on a Linux platform. If you were actually running this command on an AIX machine, then instead of Linux, you will see AIX as your output. If you are running this command on a Solaris machine, you will see Solaris as the output instead of instead of Linux. So now you know that you are running these commands on a Linux platform. Let us go through certain basic Unix commands or Linux commands. When I use the word Linux or Unix, it's interchangeably, because all these commands are going to work on any flavor of Unix or any flavor of Linux for that matter. So the next command is that I'm going to find out which user I'm logged in as. I'm logged in as a user called as Shaker. That is my username on Unix machine. Then I'm going to type another command called as host name. This command shows me that the name of the machine on which I'm logged in is SQL with the domain as example.com. So the full name of my machine is sql.example.com and my user ID is Shaker. And if you see the command prompt properly here, it shows that this is the user ID at SQL. So I'm logged on to a machine called as SQL with the username as Shaker. And then this part shows me what my directory is. Now tilde sign is the sign which is just below the escape character on your top left. That means your home directory. So what is the concept of the home directory? Home directory is a directory that is assigned to each user as his or her home, and in that directory every user is creating his or her files. So we are going to work in our home directory. We are actually in our home directory. This tilde sign shows us that we are in that directory, and then we are going to create all those files underneath our home directory and further. So these are certain basic Unix commands. I'm going to type another command called as W, a very simple command. Actually, I'm not able to see the output because my font size is too high. So I'm going to run another command called as who, and I'm going to see who is logged in. So Shaker is logged in twice, actually thrice. I have another session open actually, and then there is a person called as Ritu K that is logged in. Vaibhav K is also logged in. So these are the people, KJ user, these are the user IDs who are currently logged on to this Unix machine from various different machines. As you can see here on the right hand side, this is the IP address of the machine from where Shaker is logged in. This is the IP address of the machine from where Vaibhav K is logged in, and so on and so on. So that is another basic command, and my W command did not work. Actually it did work, but it is not able to show me the output because my font size is too big for my window. But the output of the W command and output of the who command are very similar. You will see who is currently logged in from which machine, and it tells you so many other things which we are not going to go into the details at this time. So with this much, I'm going to fire one important command called as ps-ef. ps-ef will give me a list of all the processes that are currently running on this Linux machine. These are all the processes. Let me scroll up now if I can, and as you can see, the header shows you that this is the UID or the user who is the owner of the process. The name of the process is on the right hand side under the heading command. So this is the process name, this is the owner of that process or the person who started that process, and this is the PID, a unique identifier for each process. You will see that there are so many processes that are currently running here, and each of them, they have a unique ID called as PID, and that uniquely identifies that process. This PID is used in so many other areas, especially if you want to kill a process, if you want to stop the process, terminate a process. So all these processes are running, and now you can see some of the processes are run by user Apache. This is our actually, let me highlight this stuff. This is the web server running on that machine. As you can see here on the right hand side, it's the HTTPD server. Now little down here you will see a lot of processes that are owned by user Oracle. User Oracle is the one which starts a database, and in our case we have so many processes for this one database, and the name of the database is Focus1. This is a typical thing. You will always see a process called as ORA_PMON followed by the name of the database which you are currently running on this machine, and the process will be usually owned by a user called as Oracle. So anytime you see this one process, this is always going to be running, and so many other ones. We are not going to go into the details of their names and their functions and what they do and what not. That is the job for the database administrator, to know what each of these processes is doing and what their functions is, how they work. But for the time being, from the development point of view, just remember that for each database running on this machine, there will be a process called as ORA_PMON followed by the name of the database. So that's the name of the database we have found out, and this database is running on our machine, and therefore we are going to log into this database. If the database was not running, we will not see this process, and therefore we won't be able to log into the database. So that's the next command. I'm just going to write down on this side here the commands that we have learned here under the point number 3, Unix commands that we have gone through. Who am I is the one command. Who, another command. Uname, I'm writing them in not any specific order, the order in which I remember them, and maybe I can type the command history here, which will give me the exact things here. As you can see here, history gives me the actual name of the command. So initially we fired a command called as uname, then who am I, then host name, then w command, which we were not able to display because of the font size limitation as right now. If I reduce the font size of this window, the w command will show me the output. Then the who command, ps-ef, and I ran the history command. So all these commands I'm going to write down on my left hand side window for our reference. So uname, then w, then host name, and then ps-ef. We are looking for the process called as ORA_PMON_ something. That something is the name of the database that is running on this Unix machine, and now our job is to log into that database. Okay, so come to the right hand side. I'm going to clear the screen by typing the clear command, and now I'm going to log into that database called as Focus1. How do we do that? Step number 1, export Oracle SID is equal to Focus1. Export is a Unix command which will assign a value of Focus1 to a variable called as Oracle_SIDs. This is a very first important step to log into a database called as Focus1. So all the Oracle commands, and we're going to type the command SQL plus. So SQL plus command, SQL loader command, the data pump commands that we are not going to learn right now, but there are so many other Oracle commands which interact with the Oracle database just like SQL plus. All these commands, they need to know which database to interact with, and we tell that SQL plus command that you interact with the database Focus1 by setting a value of this special variable called as Oracle_SID. This variable has to be in uppercase, not in the lowercase. Everything in Unix, everything in Linux is case sensitive, so make sure that you type the name of the variable here in uppercase, and this has to be the name which we found out in our previous ps-ef command. So SQL plus is the command which is going to now connect to the Focus1 database, and it is asking me for the username and the password to log inside the Focus1 database. My username is Shaker, and then I'm going to type my password, and boom, I'm inside the Focus1 database. How do I confirm that? Select name from v $database semicolon. It tells me you are inside the Focus1 database, and if I type the SQL plus command show user, it tells me I'm logged in as user Shaker. So this is how you log into a Focus1 database with a user ID of Shaker and its password. And this is, once you are inside that database, you can find out what database you have logged in if you have forgotten, just in case, and you can type the show user command to find out who you are logged in as. So this is the first important step before we jump into PL/SQL programming now. So in the next video, we will actually write one PL/SQL procedure. Until then, have a good time.